Hey guys, it's Jordan here from SwitchWatch. How are you all doing today? Now today's review is of Taiko no Tatsujin on the Nintendo Switch. Now as of this recording there is no official announcement of a Western release, but it is heavily rumoured, so maybe in the future this is a little outdated. As for now I'm calling it Taiko no Tatsujin for Nintendo Switch. Now anyways, it's a rhythm game, so you know I like rhythm games, let's just get on with it. While it was probably inevitable that a Taiko no Tatsujin game would grace the Nintendo Switch, I must admit I did start to get a little tetchy for a while at the lack of any announcements. The series has been on many a console, but its colourful wacky style always seemed more at home on Nintendo systems. Indeed, even though the Wii U was a total flop, 3 of these funky, fun-loving Taiko games graced the system in Japan. Eventually, the Switch version was announced however, and I for one couldn't be any happier. If you're unaware of the Taiko no Tatsujin games, it's an arcade-born rhythm series that has you pounding ancient style drums in line with weird music and a sensory attack of the cuteness variety. It's incredibly popular in Asia, and every arcade in Japan, China or Korea worth their salt will have a couple of these machines laying around, dishing out rhythmic fun. The series has previously only wandered westwards once back on the PlayStation 2 named Taiko Drum Master, and was heavily edited for a Western audience, somewhat missing the point and what made the game so unique. Now, saying that, there are lots of strong rumours and evidence circulating right at this moment that this Nintendo Switch version may actually make it to Europe and America this time, although there's currently been no official announcement. The gameplay of a Taiko no Tatsujin game couldn't be any simpler. It's a rhythm game with 2 major kinds of beats, red and blue. Depending on the control input you want to use, this entails slightly different efforts, but essentially the red beat means the deep thumping sound of the middle of the drum, while the light blue signifies the higher sharpness of the drum rim. The notes scroll across the screen from right to left, and you have to hit them at the right spot. There are slight variations where a bigger cymbal asks for a 2-stick thump, but this doesn't play out too much in reality and just 1 stick works well. Plus you have the extended notes at which you must spam this same note as fast as possible to create a drum roll as such. These always add to the fun and excitement of a Taiko no Tatsujin game. It may seem simple, but in actuality it can be pretty fiendish depending on how your brain processes things. As the 2 different notes run down the same conveyor belt together, it may take a while for you to adjust to this and get used to it. Don't be ashamed to start right on the easiest songs on the lowest difficulty to get up to speed with the gameplay, if you're not used to it already. There are 4 input methods for this game, and it's clear to see not all of them are wholly suited to the gameplay. Firstly, let's start with the button inputs, which can be used either with the dual Joy-Cons or singular. They are fairly standard and are probably my 3rd choice when it comes to playing the game. The problem I had was not being able to process which side of the controller was which colour, and I often made a mistake. I did find it kind of off-putting. They are usable though, and fine for slower songs with less inputs. When songs get slightly more dense and chaotic, be prepared for this control method to turn your brain into a mushy mess. One of the biggest selling points of this one has been the motion controls, whereby holding the Joy-Cons vertically, they act as motion controlled drumsticks. Hitting straight down performs the normal drum, while doing a sort of horizontal swing as though you're trying to slice a tennis shot performs the rim hit. At least that's what's supposed to happen. In all honesty, they are hit and miss. My initial thoughts were that they were completely god awful and had no right to be in the game, often delayed with false double inputs and inaccuracy that plagued what should be a fun, carefree playstyle. I gave them up as a bad job and moved on to the other control setups. Before I settled down to publish my review however, I decided to give them one more try, and I think something clicked with me and I got used to them enough to manage them, and indeed started to have fun despite the double inputs and occasional ignored movement. They are solely for playing on the lowest difficulties though. Any attempt at hitting notes within the vicinity of each other is a no-go. I guess it's a fun party trick that will probably get kids into it, but if you're into going for high scores and wanting to achieve the golden crowns, you're better off switching to one of the other control schemes for sure. In my opinion, the best way to play this on the Nintendo Switch right out of the box is with the touch controls. Obviously this can be only played in handheld mode, whereby the top half of the drum appears on the bottom of the screen. For me this is the most accurate and makes the more difficult levels to be manageable since quick inputs are actually feasible. This is definitely my recommended way to play unless you have the drum controller. This is an epic, fully capable and probably overpriced accessory that you can buy separately, and in all honesty it takes the game to the next level, almost making playing without it obsolete. This solid piece of plastic imitates the real life arcade machine on a smaller scale. It includes most inputs in the form of buttons on the lower fifth of the instrument, but it lacks the vital ones that stop it being compatible with most other games. I mean, just watch me playing Fortnite on it. It's a solid piece of kit, much heavier than I was expecting, and it includes room to weigh it down even more if you're a little worried. I don't think you have to be though. Below are 4 very capable rubber feet, which are very effective in keeping the unit still. It's great playing with the drum controller, but just be warned, it's not exactly the most sensitive of input devices. I know it sounds silly, but if you want to tap gently, it's not going to register. This requires you to slam with all your heart, so it's not exactly doable if people are sleeping in the next room. Just be warned, you do need to be a bit loud with this one. As a side note, in my unboxing video there were a couple of comments that said that it was feasible to play this quietly, so please bear that in mind, that my experience may not be universal. For those interested, it's a USB connection that fits into your dock, so you can't play with it in handheld mode, which I'm sure is not a huge issue. The cord is also 2 meters, which is enough for me, but it's something to think about if your sofa is far away from your TV. Anyways, back to the actual game. As far as modes go, it's disappointingly slim pickings. There is a free-to-play mode which you choose whichever song you want to play, choose from the varying difficulties, and attain the best grade possible. The main gameplay of playing through the songs is open to 2 players, but 4 players can join in the myriad of minigames present in this one. These rhythm-based minigames are competed either solo or in teams, and they all play out very simply with single button presses. Of course, it's all timing based thanks to the rhythm, so you'll just find yourself tapping a single button at regular intervals. It's hardly the frenzy of what many people enjoy out of party games such as the old Mario Party and Pokemon Stadium classics, but it can certainly be a little fun. Winning one of them will in turn unlock an even more difficult version of that challenge, whether it be the one where you have to catch fish or ninja slice sticks thrown at you by a dog. There's enough competent variety and standard fun, but it's difficult to say that this is a selling point of the game. It's certainly not enough to drag me away from the main events. I do like that they went all out with it though. It's not just a couple of tacked on minigames such as those found in Kirby Star Allies, this is fully committed. There is online play of some sort too. I know this is supposed to be an in-depth review, but for the life of me I can't understand how to work it out. I'm assuming that it's friend-based only, there's no random matchups, hence why I couldn't get a game, because believe it or not, I'm the only person on my friends list playing this one. Now it wouldn't be a Taiko no Tatsujin game if they didn't have any crossover stuff with other famous franchises. And this one being a debut on the hugely popular Nintendo Switch, Mario, Kirby and Splatoon all make a musical appearance here. Sadly it's not a lot, and in all honesty I would love to have an entire Nintendo themed Taiko no Tatsujin with tons of music from the breadth of musical pieces Nintendo has for its franchises. Criticisms are few and far between, but some of them can be kind of major. The biggest one is obviously in the motion controls, of course. Aside from that, the lack of some sort of adventure mode is disappointing too. I remember the PlayStation Vita game having a mode like this, so it's odd that it's not included in this first Nintendo Switch version. Sure, I wouldn't understand it right now, but it could have been a nice incentive to play through each of the songs, maybe with some alternative goals in mind. I also think the difficulty may have some accessibility issues. I like rhythm games that have a learnability where you can start somewhere in the middle difficulty and work your way up higher just by learning and practicing. However, the top level difficulty in Taiko no Tatsujin isn't afraid to tell you to go away and learn to become some sort of faultless superhuman in order to defeat it. It does cordon off a bit of the game to 99% of gamers. It scales up nicely, but there really is an inaccessibility for casual players at times. I highly doubt most of you will be able to 100% this game. Visually, the game just oozes charm and personality. It's a rainbow of cuddles and happiness. The joy of being cheered on as you pound your way through a song never fails to raise a smile. There are some nice different backgrounds here and there that escalate over the course of the song into something so happy-go-lucky. The minigames are themed nicely and again have tons of personality in them, and the colours and brightness are just refreshing. It's like having a bag of melted Skittles injected into your eyes. The audio is obviously a big part of the experience for a rhythm game, and of course, they've got it spot on here. Weird, wonderful, and incredibly bewildering for the outsider, you'll easily find plenty of lovable tunes to have fun with. High energy tunes, often of the pop variety, bring a feel-good mood to proceedings. There are some soft Japanese rock, pop, Vocaloid, and some classical music, the Nintendo themed songs, songs from other games like Ridge Racer and Pac-Man. My personal favourite are the Studio Ghibli songs, which include the ending songs for Spirited Away and My Neighbor Totoro. Just lovely. There's even the prospect of DLC. At the time of recording, there's a free download for what I believe is a Gundam song, so definitely get on that. I don't know if future DLC is going to be paid or free, but going by other rhythm games on the Switch, setting a precedent, it would be wise for Bandai to follow the free suit, considering this game is way more expensive than the others too. A minor complaint that I'm not entirely sure about, because maybe I'm just getting lost in the menus and such, is that there's no way to change the type of sound effect that your drum makes. I'm sure this has been possible in other entries, and I like having the cymbal crashes instead of the pound sound at times. Maybe it's there, maybe I just can't find it. Either way, it's slightly disappointing if the option isn't there. As for value, well, the game is selling on the eShop for a princely price of almost 7,000 yen, which in a more easily understandable currency for the rest of us comes in at over $60 and slightly under £50. That's pretty pricey and is without the drum controller, which in my opinion takes the game to the next level of fun. Importing a game and a drum controller or two isn't going to be cheap either, unless you want to wait until that likely Western release. Even then, it's probably not going to be going cheap. But it is what it is. Probably the most polished, fun and charming rhythm game on the Nintendo Switch. The licensed music and high quality peripheral really jacked up the price, and although I paid top dollar for this myself, I'm more than happy with it, but I know that I may be in the minority for this one as a fan of the series. When you have other great rhythm games like Musinx, Demo and Voez all offering at a much lower price, you will be tempted to say that this one is overpriced, but there's just a ton more polish and personality in this one that steps up the price accordingly. It also depends on their DLC plans. If there are plans to have lots of free songs added over time, then it will certainly add to the value, but if they're going to be paid for, then it's a tough one. Overall, for me on a personal level, it's a no-brainer for rhythm game fans, and especially those who want a glimpse into the weird and wonderful world of wacky Japanese loveliness. It excels in feel-good rhythm action, and it's not to be underestimated when it comes to challenge too. The visuals and songs choices are on point, and it's hard to find any significant faults with the game, aside from the price, which will no doubt be a bit steep for some, especially when compared to other rhythm games on the Nintendo Switch. It's a little light on modes found in other games in the series. The motion controls too probably needed a little more time to cook and are only viable on lower difficulties. It's odd to say, but the drum controller can easily make huge difference for this one. I'm going to do the unthinkable and give 2 separate scores for this game. If you don't want to shell out for the big bucks for the drum controller, I would say Taiko no Tatsujin for Nintendo Switch is an 8 out of 10. But if you do have the drum controller, then it's an excellent 9 out of 10. It elevates the game immensely and proves just how much difference an input method can make. Okay guys, I hope you've enjoyed this review of Taiko no Tatsujin for Nintendo Switch. If you found it useful in some way, don't forget to leave a like and a comment below telling us what you think of it too. Are you looking forward to Taiko no Tatsujin? Is it just a bit too weird or out of reach for you? Would you pick it up if there was a Western release? Let us know in the comments below. If you're new here, then we would love it if you subscribe for more excellent Switch content, including reviews, gameplays, and features, and even a monthly giveaway that anyone can win. And finally, head over to the website switchwatch.co.uk, that is well worth a daily look. I've been Jordan from SwitchWatch, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.